Hello everyone. We're going to talk today about the nuance of phrasal verbs. This is why I say phrasal verbs say much more than just your normal formal vocabulary. So to take your English to that next advanced level, you need to understand the nuance when you're using a phrasal verb. It's much more powerful. So we're going to start with bounce back. Bounce back as a phrasal verb. We have the more formal words that people are accustomed to using, which could be to recover or to recuperate. But the nuance of bounce back, it emphasizes the resilience and the agility and speed, like a ball bouncing, to bounce back. It sounds far more proactive, far more positive and optimistic than simply recovering. So it gives you this idea in your mind, this impression that you really are bouncing positively back into whatever you are doing. A lot of energy, a lot of speed. So when we use it is discussing market downturns, missed targets, or overcoming corporate failures. So if you have a problem with a product, with a delivery time, a setback in waiting for something from suppliers, and if you want to then explain to the client that you are bouncing back from that, or you're explaining to your corporate stakeholders that you are bouncing back from that, it shows much more positivity, much more optimism when used in your sentence. Despite the supply chain disruptions, the company managed to bounce back quickly. So if we just used recover quickly, it shows on the statistics there's an improvement, but if you bounce back quickly, again, can you hear the optimism, the positivity? This is a much stronger recovery then. Let's have a look at our next one, which is pencil in. So a pencil is not like a pen. A pen is permanent. A pencil gives us this idea that something can be erased and changed. So your alternatives with more formal vocabulary here: to reserve a time, to schedule a time, provisionally schedule a time. But if we say pencil in, it suggests flexibility, because a pencil can be erased, it can be changed. So it's proposing a date while acknowledging that plans might change, preventing you from seeming too demanding as well. So there's some nice nuance there too. If you pencil in a date, we're saying this is a suggestion, it's not firm, it's not in pen. We pencil it in, maybe we need to renegotiate the time later, but there's flexibility here. So it's used when you're setting up tentative meetings with busy clients or stakeholders. If you want to propose a time in the future, but you're not 100% firm yet whether that is going to be the correct time for the delivery, to hand over the deliverable, to set the meeting, you could say to the people, let's pencil it in, we'll confirm later. Let's pencil in the budget review for next Tuesday, and we can confirm closer to the time. So you're giving people that impression of flexibility. You don't come across as demanding or rigid in your timelines when you say let's pencil it in. Next up we have hammer out. So your formal vocabulary here is to finalize, to negotiate intensely. If we think of a hammer is a tool to drive a nail into a wall, or to break down a wall with very large hammers. A hammer is very powerful. It provides a very powerful impact on something. So it implies hard work, resilience, and overcoming significant friction or disagreement to reach that mutual agreement, or to reach that compromise that you're looking for. So to hammer out the details is saying that this is something that's going to be quite intense. We're going to have to put a lot of effort into it to get to where we want to be. So you're showing your strength, your resilience to achieve that objective. So it's used during tough negotiations, contract discussions, or complex problem-solving sessions. You could be sitting in a meeting and you need to hammer out the details of how something is going to be achieved, the step-by-step procedure that you want to follow. But it's going to be intense. There's going to be a lot of effort involved in it. So as a formal alternative, if we just were to use finalize, negotiate intensely, it doesn't have that same impact, literally, as to hammer out. So it took us 3 days, but we finally managed to hammer out the details of the merger. So instead of saying to finalize, you have an idea of you were waiting for a signature, you were waiting for something. But when we say to hammer out the details, you then have this impression that there was a lot of negotiating, there was a lot of back and forth discussions to agree on things. It's much more powerful. The next one we have here is factor in. Formal words that could replace it include, consider, accommodate. But the nuance here is that it highlights analytical thinking. If you factor something in, it shows that you're actively accounting for variables, for risks, for hidden costs. It shows a much more deeper process of thinking, of considering all the implications. So it's used in project planning, financial forecasting, and risk management. So by using factor in, we're saying we're not just including, we're not just considering, we are calculating, we are thinking deeply about each consideration, each cost that is involved. And we have done the maths, we've crunched the numbers, and we have factored in every possible variable. So when calculating the launch timeline, we must factor in potential shipping delays. So instead of consider potential shipping delays, factor it in, calculate it, see how it's going to impact the other steps in the process. It shows a much more analytical thinking. Next up, we have walk back. So this is to retract or to recant or reverse a statement. So to retract is used if something is written down and you take it back. To recant is something that's said, you unsay it. It's not a word, but it's to take it back. Reverse a statement. So the nuance here, it represents damage control. So this is important because it describes a strategic diplomatic retreat from a previous firm stance or public error without explicitly apologizing. So walk back is very powerful in that it's giving you the power still. You're not saying, I apologize, we made a mistake in the delivery or we made a mistake in the calculations. If we walk it back, then it's strategic, it's diplomatic, and saves your reputation. So it's used in corporate PR, crisis communication, or high-risk leadership alignment. For example, the PR team had to walk back the CEO's comments regarding the upcoming layoffs. To flesh out. This is to elaborate, to expand upon, or substantiate. So if we talk about fleshing out an idea, or fleshing out a concept, it implies transforming a very basic, simple idea initially and fleshing it out, building it up into something that is very robust and detailed and actionable. It's used during brainstorming sessions, proposal writing, or strategy development. So again, with the nuance here at this advanced level, someone says we need to elaborate on that. Elaborate means say more, provide more information. Flesh out is saying build that whole body of whatever context we're looking for. So again, it gives you the impression that someone is thinking about all the minor details, how they will impact other things, and building up on that idea in a logical way. The initial concept is solid, but we need to flesh out the marketing strategy. To zero in on, to pinpoint or focus exclusively on, are other vocabulary that can be used. But the nuance here, it conveys intense precision, sharp focus. It implies ignoring distractions to target the root cause of an issue. So used in data analysis, troubleshooting, or defining target markets. So when we say someone is going to zero in on a point, it means absolute focus, not getting distracted by anything else. All of your objective is focused purely on achieving that goal. For example, we need to zero in on why our customer retention dropped in Q3. To phase out. Very commonly used, phase out, and a very nice one when you understand the nuances. So formally, to discontinue gradually or to terminate systematically. Phase out is much easier to say too. So nuance signals a smooth, organized transition that minimizes disruption for customers or internal operations. So it's used when retiring software, legacy software, old product lines, or outdated company policies. And to phase out, signaling a smooth, organized transition. So when we say we're going to phase out that old product line, it means we have considered it carefully. We've thought of how we're going to do it step by step. We've thought of who it's going to impact, and we will phase it out. For example, we will phase out the legacy software over the next 6 months to ease the transition. To map out. To formulate or to plan systematically. The nuance, it conveys a clear, visual, and highly structured approach to a journey. A map is what we use to get from point A to point B. If we are driving, if we are planning a hike on a long trail, we have a map that shows us clearly we will go here, then we will turn right, then we will go straight for 100 meters, then we will turn left. So it's a very clear visual picture if something is mapped out. It's used in project management, roadmap presentations, or career development discussions. So something that needs a very clear visual picture to show that we have thought out and looked at every step and where we exactly need to go. Our team has mapped out the entire implementation process from start to finish. So we could say our team has planned, yes, but if we say it's mapped out, we get a much better picture of how they have looked at it systematically, every impact, every turn, every change, everything that has to be rerouted on a clear visual picture. To weigh in on. To weigh in on something is to contribute an opinion. It implies that the person's opinion carries authority, expertise, or significant influence. So weigh, we think of the word weight, mass, kilograms. So if something is heavy, if it is substantial and we weigh in on it, it means that what we're saying has substance. It's worth listening to. So used when inviting executives, specialists, or key stakeholders to give feedback. If you ask them to weigh in on it, you're saying to them, I respect you, I respect your expertise, I respect your opinion. Please provide an idea, provide input of what you would do, how you would handle this problem. Before we sign off on this design, I'd like the legal team to weigh in on it. So it's saying that we're giving them the respect, that their opinion matters. We need to be 100% certain that we haven't stepped on any trademarks or whatever it might be. The legal team, their opinion counts. It matters. We want them to weigh in on it. So thank you very much for your time. I hope you're seeing how much impact phrasal verbs can have. This is why native English speakers use them all the time. And in business, in your professional setting as well, it is just as powerful. So please like and subscribe, and we'll see you again next time.